Hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous. On this week's episode, my dear friend Shai joins me as we talk about Wanda Vision. WandaVision was released on Disney Plus on January 15th, 2021. WandaVision picks up a few weeks after the events of the Avengers Endgame takes place. Wanda and Vision find themselves living in this very idyllic suburban neighborhood in New Jersey. But what we don't know is what's really going on. Now, here we go to the show. Shai, welcome to the show. I'm so excited that you are here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Now, I would say you are far more into the Marvel universe than I am. I'm more of like a cursory appreciator, specifically of Captain America, because Chris Evans and Captain America outfit is pretty much, thank you,
America's ass.
America's ass. 100%. But yeah, so I'm just glad that you're here to talk about WandaVision with me because it gave me a lot of feelings, but also I don't really know where it fits in the universe. So I'm glad you're here to sort of set me straight.
Thank you. I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means. I kind of feel like I fell into falling in love with the MCU like right after the first Iron Man came out, and I just started watching them. I'm not a comic reader, so people say like, oh, you're not really a Marvel fan if you're not into the comics, but who has time?
And I feel like that's not
to read all the comics,
right. And I feel like that's not fair because it's, there's it's like the book versus the movie conversation, right?
Yes,
the movies have a totally different vibe, different audience. Captain America's way hotter in the movies than he is in the comic books.
But I love the movies. I'm obsessed. We go every single time to the midnight openings, or at least like as soon as we can get to see any of the movies. We watched every single one of them so many times now. Even my 4-year-old is like in love with the Marvel movies. Like the other day we were sitting around and she's like, Mommy, I want to watch Endgame. And I said, okay, let's go watch Endgame.
Yeah, we can carve out that time because, the pandemic. So 3 hours isn't anything right now.
Do I feel like having a panic attack today? Yes. Okay, we're going to watch Endgame.
Yes, I do. It's going to be great.
We watched it We watched Age of Ultron, and then we watched like all the subsequent big movies up until Endgame right before WandaVision because we want to like just get a refresher. We kind of do that every time one of the big movies comes out, just watch whatever we can to kind of refresh in our brains and get caught up.
That's a really smart move because when we were watching WandaVision, when they had mentioned, oh, isn't Vision dead? I looked at my kid and I was like, is Vision dead? I don't remember. So it's smart that you guys like prepped in that way. Okay, so what was your initial reaction to the show? Because, they dropped them weekly. So it was like we got it a whole week to absorb each episode. So did you let's talk about it.
I kind of love the fact that they gave you time to think and like ponder, because I don't know if you were on any of like the boards about WandaVision, but people were going crazy with all of their fan theories and like trying to figure out what was going on. And I love that because if it dropped all at once, then I kind of felt like the fun was over too soon. So I really did appreciate it being kind of strewn out and kind of giving you time to absorb everything and come up with your own theories. I thought it was on so many levels a really great way to start off the new phase of Marvel. I loved having a female lead, even if she wasn't necessarily the hero. She was definitely the protagonist,
right?
And I think Agatha is my favoriteest villain of all time now.
She was so good.
Yeah, anything that Catherine Hahn does, I'm like 100% on board.
Yes,
and I've loved her for like since Crossing Jordan back in like 2000.
Yes,
I've loved her. And so now that she's becoming like a household name and she's getting so popular and everyone can appreciate how amazing she is, I'm like, yes, join us.
Yes.
Join us in loving her. And she just blew that role out of the water. I loved her so much in that.
She's so talented. So this wasn't planned, but I feel like we need to have a Catherine Hahn appreciation moment because
yes.
she's so freaking talented
in everything.
In everything.
The first thing I saw her in after Crossing Jordan was Step Brothers when she played, you know, that crazy like sex addict role.
Yes.
And I was like, what is happening? Who is this person that I'm seeing? She was so freaking funny in that.
And she's really good at like not embodying the same thing every time. You know how some actors kind of fall into this whole like they kind of create the same shit over and over and over again.
Yes.
She's different in everything she does. And that's just so in my mind, I'm like, that's what makes you an actor is you can embody some other character and make it real. Like when she was the friendly neighbor and the nosy neighbor, like I bought into it. I was like, yeah, you're kind of irritating, but also you're saving Wanda right now. So that's awesome. But like, stop looking in the window.
How involved in message boards were you, or do you like not pay attention to that kind of stuff?
You know, I'm just like Glamour wrote an article or Vanity Fair wrote an article. I'll read it. I really want to get into more of that just generally because the kid will tell me stuff. And I'm like, well, how did you hear about that? And he's like, oh, I found it online somewhere. And I'm like, like your online and my online are so different. And I would have liked to have known these things before I came into the show. So not that into it.
As soon as she was cast and the role came out that she was playing Agnes, everyone online was like, oh, she's gonna be Agatha Harkness, like that's who she's gonna be. And I was like, let's give her time, let's figure it out, let's take it slowly. And then when it came out, I was like, oh, you're right, that song is a bop. Agatha All Along, like me and my daughter will sing it all the time.
I love that. You make a good point though about the weekly drop because there is so much packed in, you know, having rewatched it in preparation for our conversation, there was things where I was like, I remember when I first watched it that was weird. And now I understand why it was weird. Being able to sort of absorb what's going on and pick it apart really does sort of get your brain thinking about it and excited for the next episode. And to be honest, I do kind of miss that weekly, you know, when we were kids and it was like, oh, I have to wait a whole week for this next episode. And it was like terrible, sitcoms, but it wasn't terrible.
Like regular sitcoms. Yeah.
Yes. And it kind of created that vibe again where it's like, I can't wait for Friday. Is it midnight?
Well, or in me and my husband's case, Thursday night at midnight, like we would stay up just to watch it.
Awesome. I love that. That's adorable.
And then on Friday night, my daughter would be like, oh, are we going to watch WandaVision? So we'd have to watch it again and pretend that it was our first time watching it.
I love the way that they tied in old sitcoms. Did you sit there and try to figure out like what sitcom before it became revealed online, you know, how they like a sense of like, oh, this is Dick Van Dyke and this is, you know, Modern Family, whatever. Were you guys trying to figure, I mean, Family Ties was super obvious. Like anybody who's within our age bracket has seen the opening to Family Ties, but the other ones, like we kind of had debates a little bit. I was like, this is, especially because the earlier shows, like my kid's not gonna know that that's an homage to Brady Bunch, but he called it. He's like, that's Malcolm in the Middle, 100%.
I don't know about you, but before the show started, I was expecting like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then like early aughts and then current. Right. So I wasn't expecting them to kind of like mix the 90s with the aughts and the late 80s with the early 90s, but we definitely had conversations afterwards to be like, okay, this is from that, like like the different kind of periods that they pulled from for their inspiration.
And then when you get into, I think it's episode 7 or 8, when you realize that she's had all this childhood trauma, but TV is like her way of coping through trauma, it makes perfect sense that they would kind of go back to this old sitcom feel. And what I loved most about that sort of snapshot of like her coping through her trauma with television is that we as humans do that all the time. I hear people talking about that all the time where they're like, oh, I go back to these shows all the time because I know what's going to happen. There's no anxiety. It's comforting. And I love that they sort of tied this cultural phenomenon that we've only recently started talking about into the show in that way.
Oh, I completely understand. I don't know about you, but during this whole pandemic and craziness, I haven't watched hardly any new shows. I've definitely gone back and watched the old ones because it's like comfortable and familiar and you don't have to stress about like the not knowing part just because everything else is so uncertain right now. You just want something, you know, that you know.
Okay, so when Wanda and Vision first started like having romance in the Marvel universe, I was like, does anybody else feel like this is weird because Paul Bettany's like, I don't know, hella older than her? And then I had to course correct me like, who cares? He's cute, she's adorable, like they get each other. In their world, it makes sense that they would feel bonded because they're both kind of like outcasty and like.
I do think that the Mind Stone part helps too, that they're both from the Mind Stone and there's a part of it lives in each of them, and it kind of, I don't know. I don't know if you remember, but I rewatched Age of Ultron recently, and when he first comes out of the chamber, one of the first things that he looks at is at Wanda, and I just thought, like, that's really cute.
I forgot about that.
It was, I don't remember if it was part of the chamber when he was first born. I can't remember exactly, but there's a connection there. Maybe delete this part because I feel like I might be wrong.
But even if you are wrong, that's still a really sweet testament to like the way that the relationship kind of started. When I was thinking about the other movies, and he's always had this gentle side with her when everyone else has always sort of treated her as a weapon, and vice versa. Everyone sort of treated like him like a weapon too. So to watch their relationship unfold in WandaVision, because they never got that kind of focused attention before, was, I just thought was really sweet, because he was so like, yes, my love, and like that kind of like gentle provider protector kind of feel, that it was just, I thought, oh, that's really sweet. Like she needs that because she's had such chaos in her life. Like here's this person who brings her grounding and makes her feel comforted. Wanda's got like this complicated relationship with TV because, you know, we learn her backstory of her parents, sort of their demise as well. They're having family TV night.
I think also the fact that her dad sells the DVDs and like sells the TV shows, like she has a passion for it already, obviously. She like knows exactly which Dick Van Dyke show she wants to watch on her choice for family night.
But it's interesting though, because her relationship with TV, to sort of have that buttoned up 30 minutes of like comfort and everything solved in 30 minutes, and then she tries to recreate and emulate that, and then it doesn't work. I think that's a really interesting commentary, because we always look at television and we, you know, I don't know about you, but I'll look at TV and be like, oh, that's so nice. Like, look at this perfect world they've created and everything's just like so hunky-dory and wonderful. And then WandaVision comes in and it's like, yeah, isn't it great? It's not real. You can't make it real.
Yeah, I thought they showed that point really well in the 80s episode when the credits started rolling, but they were still arguing, and then it went into the room and they were still fighting, and you're just like, oh, this isn't how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Like they're supposed to like make up and the credits supposed to roll and it's supposed to be happy, but they're still fighting, and it was weird to see that juxtaposition.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Did you watch to the very, very end just to see if they would dump anything in there for as like, stop. Well, why did they condition us to be that way?
All the Marvel movies have some sort of little, you know, thing at the end. Yeah. People were so mad because they didn't do it for the first few episodes, and then they finally did it on that last one, like the Modern Family episode, and people were like, oh crap, they finally did one.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, you came to hate that "please stand by" sign. Like it was always dropping. You're like, no.
Like, what do you mean, please stand by? We're not standing by until next Friday. It's going to be hard. Did you have a favorite episode?
I did love them all. I want to say the Halloween Spooktacular episode was my favorite. I don't know why though. I just really loved the Halloween. Maybe because I love Halloween. I don't know. I love that they did the old school costumes. I love that they had, you know, the crazy uncle with the kids, and
oh my
Halloween,
god,
and how they kind of
fake
explored
Pietro shows up.
Pietro, if you will. Yeah. When Darcy said, oh my god, she recast Pietro, I lost it. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
I think I want to say the Halloween episode was my favorite one. What about you?
I actually really loved the Bewitched episode, because it felt, I think they did such a good job at replicating Bewitched in a way where like, so like the 50s episode, I was like, I'm not sure which 50s show they're trying to recreate here. And then of course, you know, all the articles start coming out. It's like, oh, I don't know if I felt Dick Van Dyke in that show. Maybe.
Me either. I thought it was more I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
Dick Van Dyke even didn't come out, I think, till the 60s. And I thought the second episode felt more like Dick Van Dyke.
Yeah.
But like when Vision walked through the chair and like dropped her at the door, that was, I guess, Dick Van Dyke, but I felt like it was more I Love Lucy, and the next episode was more Dick Van Dyke.
Okay, actually, I loved that they did the opening for Family Ties, but then I was like, you know, Elise never would have worn any of those outfits.
The 80s, that was Family Ties mixed with Full House, right?
Yeah, it totally had Full House vibes too.
I think they were doing more Full House for her just because of who she is.
That's who she is, yeah.
Yeah. Those openings were fantastic. All the openings and the music was fantastic. And did you notice, I don't know if you noticed, but we read afterwards that each intro song had the same like 3 chords that Wanda Vision.
Oh.
And it carried on through all of the episodes for all of their opening songs.
That's
like
really
it still
clever.
had that same like 3 tones in it.
Yeah.
Just in different ways.
That's really smart because then you're still keeping with the theme of the show, but adapting for each era that you need.
I was just gonna say the last scene, the very, very last scene where you find Wanda, you know, in the cabin. The music leading up to it sounds kind of like music from Frozen, which I'm intimately familiar with because I have a 4-year-old. And we remembered, oh, it was the Lopez's that wrote all the music for it, and they are also the ones that wrote for Frozen, all the music for Frozen. I was like, they did a little Easter egg there, I think.
That's fun. I love that when you figure stuff out like that, when you're just like, oh, here's the connection. So when I was rewatching it today, the second episode in the radio, you know, at the scene where they're at the pool and, you know, Wanda, can you hear me? Come in, Wanda. The first time I watched the show, I didn't notice, but this time I noticed that it's Help Me Rhonda playing on the radio.
Oh, I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah, I was like, I kind of love that because it blends so well. Wanda, Rhonda. I was like, oh, I love that. That's kind of clever. Good job, guys. So there's a lot of show theories out there, and I didn't pay attention to any of them beforehand.
There's just all the theories that are floating around everywhere.
I need to hear all of them. Enlighten me, because I was reading an article. I think I sent you the link, and I was like, oh, I think I knew that one. I think I'd heard of that one. And there was like 4 on there that are confirmed, which get confirmed in episode 9 anyway, like who Agatha is and, you know, Wanda actually being the villain. But one that was like, I hope is true is the twins coming back because they were so freaking cute.
They were so cute. And I feel like they were young enough now that if the Marvel universe continues and goes along with the Young Marvels thing that they're trying to do with like Clint's daughter Lila and Monica would be too old, but the 2 boys, like they would be old enough at that point to actually be part of the Young Marvels, like Miss Marvel. Have you heard about all the stuff going on with Miss Marvel?
I haven't.
And
but
America.
But to segue on that, because you said Monica, like somebody made a reference to about Captain Marvel, and Monica was just like, basically like, we're not talking about that, and moved on. And I thought, there's
what happened.
Yeah, like there's something there. What's gonna happen? Tell us guys now. And then that was one of the theories that's unconfirmed. I was like, what is happening? Send me a link. I need to read.
Our theory is that Carol just hasn't really been coming back to Earth a lot. Like she just, maybe Monica feels like she got abandoned, or who knows, but we're gonna find out, because I think that Monica will be in Captain Marvel 2.
Ooh, I hope so. I love her character. I think she's got such a solid foundation. Like when she would go toe to toe with that guy, the new director guy, I meant to write down his name, but when she would go toe to toe with that guy, I was like, get it, girl, don't back down. And he tried so hard to intimidate her, and she just held sturdy.
She was a very cool character, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen for her next. As I think what is going to be her Photon?
Is that what it is?
Photon.
Okay.
So many different theories going around before the show started. During the show, the biggest one was that Mephisto was the one pulling all the strings the entire time, and I felt like they dropped a lot of I think that Marvel people knew that was going to be a thing, and they did a lot of little hints, like when Pietro, if you will, would be like, oh, Devil Spawn, or he called Westview hell at one point. And I think people were like, Mephisto confirmed. And there's a poster where it looks like there's a tiny little face looking back at you, and everyone's like, it's Mephisto. And Agatha Harkness is partners with Mephisto, or like married to him. And so everyone was convinced. But part of me was really, really glad that a lot of those rumors didn't come true from like a feminist perspective. Like there wasn't a guy coming in to save the day or to take credit for everything. Like Reed Richards didn't show up, it wasn't Doctor Strange coming to help her out. It wasn't Mephisto. It was these two women that created these problems and solved them themselves. And I love that about the show.
Yeah.
Because Monica had, and this is one thing that I really didn't like, that Monica kept dropping hints about the person that she was meeting outside of the Hex. And everyone online was like, she's meeting Reed Richards. They're bringing in the Fantastic Four. And when that didn't happen, you were like, wait, what? This is who she's meeting with? Like this? This is it? This is what we're waiting for. Yeah. This isn't Reed Richards. Like, I kind of hate getting caught up in those theories too, because you just ultimately get disappointed when it doesn't happen. But
yeah.
And then Doctor Strange was another big one. People were convinced that Doctor Strange was going to like show up at the end and save the day and like take Wanda away or figure out what was going on with her. So I love Doctor Strange and I'm excited for his next movie, but I am glad that it didn't end up. Even Vision like didn't come in to swoop in and save the day. The girls like did themselves.
I do appreciate that, because early Disney is kind of problematic in that way, where it's like, I have to be rescued again. I can rescue myself, right? So having that message of like, no, girls, this girl's got it. She can get herself out of it. What really broke my heart when that realization that she like clearly wants a family with Vision. And then, obviously she created it, but then like the reality of the fact that like she can never have that. I mean, maybe she can, I don't know. But like just in that moment, in that last episode where it was just all sort of being taken away, just ripped my heart, because God. There's so much complexity about being a woman and wanting a family or not wanting a family and just what that means for you. And she sort of demonstrated that she's strong and powerful and, can do all of these things without having to be like, she doesn't need to do all these things to feel validated as a female, but now she's accomplished all these things and now she kind of wants to build a family. She misses having a family. She misses her brother every day. And then now she can't do that with a Vision, which makes me like really sad for her to like, you have this huge passionate love and then it can't go anywhere. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
In such a way that you're just like, oh, girl, I'm not gonna love you, but I'll love you.
Yeah, I definitely think that although Wanda's not the hero of the story, that she's definitely a very sympathetic villain, because you get where she's coming from, even though she kept an entire town hostage.
Yeah. So
she really did. So she's like, definitely not the hero, because she's the one who made the whole thing happen in the first place. But
one of the theories I thought was really interesting that I did see was that they think, what do they call him? White Vision, that they think he's not going anywhere, like he's going to be back.
Oh, so, for sure. I'm certain he will.
Yeah.
That whole thing, he is very creepy. But I did love that was how the battle between the two Visions was solved, because I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? Like they're kind of matched as far as power. Like what? How are they gonna solve this? And it was like the freaking ship of Theseus theory. Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. It's like the most Vision way to solve a problem. So I thought that was a really cool way to do it.
Oh man!
But he loved being a dad too.
That was just the sweetest, how he was just like all the dad jokes that they incorporated into it, like when he had the binkies on his ears. I was just like, that's adorable. I think that's what made it so devastating for me, that they won't, at this point where it stands, this family unit may not ever have the opportunity to exist again, because he was just so into his dadhood. And when you see a good dad, you just want them to win every time.
There was a couple of lines that really stuck with me, and one of them was, what is grief if not love persevering?
Yes.
That is like but the thing, and then they followed it up with a boner joke, which kind of like, you're like, oh, so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then a dick joke. But and then the other one was when Wanda, at the very end, when Wanda told the boys that like, thank you for choosing me to be your mom. Just cried. I'm sure as a mom that you felt that one too,
especially mom of a boy. Like, we don't give boys enough credit on letting them be compassionate towards their mothers, and we don't see that a lot represented in pop culture, and that actually really bothers me. When we were on the cusp of teenagehood, that preteen phase, people were like, oh, enjoy it now before he like hates spending time with you, but enjoy it while and before he like starts like whatever, pain in the ass, whatever they wanted to call him. And then one day we're sitting in the car and he's like, I really wish people would stop saying that. They don't know if I'm going to be that way. They're just making an assumption. And I thought, yeah, that's actually that's a solid argument back, because we're making assumptions based on, I don't know, what we see represented on TV, our own personal experiences. And so far, we're almost out of teenagehood, Shy, which is weird because, we're talking about college, which is weird. And we've only had maybe a handful of times where I'm just like, I really don't like you right now. It's not true for everyone. And so what I loved about WandaVision was that they showed the boys just really like, and yeah, sure, they were 10, but we've seen 10-year-olds on TV be assholes to their parents.
Yeah.
I just love that it was a solid family feel. The parents felt loved. The children felt loved. The children were good to the parents in return. It was just so great.
Yeah, it really was. Well, I will say that Marvel, I can't think of a single miss that Marvel has done with their casting. Like, honestly, like they freaking nailed it out of the park, like every single time. Even ones that you were like, Chris Evans is gonna be Captain America, the guy from Not Another Teen Movie, and then
Nanny Diaries.
Yes, Nanny Diaries. I told my husband about that. I was like, did you know that Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans are both in this movie? And this is like way before they were ever in the Marvel movies. And he's like, I've never even heard of this movie before. But anyways, I have it on DVD.
Me too.
But like every single casting, like they've just, Jesus, Sarah Haley Finn like deserves all the money. She does is amazing as for casting.
Yeah, they've done a stellar job. Even when like I mean, I'm not necessarily the biggest ScarJo fan, but honestly, every time she's, she makes a presence in the universe, I'm just like, damn, she's a badass.
Yeah, she's very good as I'm not the biggest ScarJo fan either, but she is an excellent Black Widow, and in Endgame she was so good. Like, I didn't expect to feel as emotional at that part, but I cried through the whole movie basically. But that part like really got to me, and I was surprised because I was like, I didn't even realize I liked her character that much. But just like it was really well done.
Even still, that scene wrecks me. Like, I know it's coming and it still wrecks me. I'm excited for her movie. I didn't think I would be. Me
too. I've been waiting for it for so long, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like, come on, give this girl the credit she deserves. Like, you gave all the men their movies already. Let's get her out here, please.
Do you think WandaVision would have been good as a movie? If they chopped it up? I feel like it was perfect the way it was as a television show.
I agree.
It was 9 episodes and about half an hour each episode. So yeah, it would have been either a really long movie or I think the way they did it, especially because of the way like it was meant to be a TV show. Like,
Kat Dennings' character was just, I thought she was really funny. I also think that she deserves more in Hollywood because I feel like they kind of keep casting her as the same person in everything she's in. I don't know. Do you remember the Sex and the City episode she was in?
I don't.
Samantha gets hired to do this PR for this, I think it's a bat mitzvah, and it's her bat mitzvah, and she's basically...
Was that her?
Yes!
Oh my gosh, I don't.
And she's just now playing a variation of that girl, but nicer.
I hope that she's in Thor 4. She started off in the Thor movies, and now she's like a doctor herself, so...
I know, I love that when she was like, excuse me, doctor, whatever. I was like, that's right, girl, stand up for yourself. Going to school's hard.
She like spent the 5 years of the blip just going to school and getting her doctorate.
I support it. I thought it was interesting the way that, because the 50s and 60s had like hella sexist shit on TV all the time. So I loved that, like, whenever one of the characters would say something that would be like, I don't know, appropriate 70 years ago, Wanda would just be like, and she'd kind of like make a face at whatever other woman character was in the room, and she'd like an acknowledgement of like, yeah, that's bad. He shouldn't have said that, but we're gonna let it go because I'm already controlling everybody. What are some of the other theories that are out there?
So the Mephisto thing was the big one.
Yeah.
Huge. And now we're just kind of like, is he gonna still show up? What's gonna happen with that? The Reed Richards one was a big one going on. That people were thinking that's how they were going to introduce Fantastic Four into the universe.
Do you remember how terrible the Fantastic Four movies were, however long ago that was?
With Chris Evans?
With Chris Evans.
I don't even consider the one that was made like 5 years ago movie.
Oh, that's right. They redid it, huh? With
Yeah,
Michael B. Jordan.
Yes,
Wasn't
I
he?
will watch Michael B. Jordan in things. I love him. He
He's
was
beautiful.
fantastic in Black Panther.
Oh my
But
God. Yes, he was so good.
I'm not. Yes.
Killmonger. Oh, Black Panther. And
Oh
that's
God,
what,
don't start me on Black Panther because I can't even process how they're gonna even do this. And it makes
right?
me so sad every time I
Mm-hmm.
think about it because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how are they gonna do this? Oh, I'm gonna cry. Like I love Chadwick Boseman so much as
Yeah.
Black Panther. And when I found out
Yes.
he died, like I seriously was in shock. It was
Shy.
devastating.
What did he gets introduced for the first time in Winter Soldier, right? I feel like
Civil War.
Civil War. So when I watch Civil War and he's in it every time, now I'm just like, catch, like you get a little catch and it's gonna be hard.
I don't know what they're gonna do, honestly.
I think somebody
So,
said in the comic books the sister becomes Black Panther or something to that extent. I think that's what I've heard. So I wouldn't be surprised. And his sister, I love the actress that plays his sister. She does such a great job. So I could believe her being like taking over the throne.
Leticia Wright as an actress is maybe a little, I don't know if you like followed all of the stuff, but she's a little problematic in some of her tweets.
Ooh, I had no idea.
And then Marvel shut that down real fast. I want it to be Okoye because she is badass. I love her.
Yes,
I didn't even be the next Black Panther.
Oh my God, she's amazing.
She is. I think she would be awesome.
I agree.
Well, we're supposed to be talking about WandaVision now. We're all of a sudden talking about Black Panther. Sorry.
So I shouldn't digress and ask if you guys are starting to watch the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, of course we are. Of course we are.
I hate the new Captain America, and not because he's not Chris Evans, but because he's kind of a doucher.
Yes, no, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm Wyatt Russell as an actor, like I'm whatever about, but Wyatt Russell playing whoever this guy is as Captain America, and he looks so stupid in the Captain America cap.
Right, he looks
like
so
such a douche. He looks like I don't like it. I don't like it.
So part of me feels like this is like after the second episode, because it comes out in the first episode and you're like, the fuck? Like, Anthony Mackie, what'd you do? Because we all need you as Cap, right? Like, we need you as Cap. He trusted you. What did you do? Who is this child standing on these steps?
I get it. I get why he gave it up, especially after they've introduced the new Elijah character, and you see what he's gone through. You're like, I can see how America, especially our real America, would react to a Black Captain America.
That's also true. Anthony Mackie's beautiful though.
He really is. Do you know I saw him once?
What?
At Trisetti's.
What? I'm sorry. Did he and Jeremy Renner come to town together?
They did. They did. It was when Hurt Locker was a thing.
Yes, that's right.
And they did the big premiere at Brendan, and then afterwards they were hanging out at Trisetti's, and I had met Jeremy Renner before because I'm friends with some of his family members.
Yeah. It
really wasn't until like years later that I was like, holy shit, that was Jeremy Mackie.
You put it together and you're like, oh my
God. Renner, at this point, I'm like, I've seen him so many times, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't faze me at all. But now I'm like, oh my God, that was Anthony Mackie at Trisetti's.
I'm like, can they come back? Because Anthony Mackie,
people were so rude to them. Like,
really?
Because Jeremy was like a familiar figure at that point.
Right.
I would see people like shove their camera phones in his face and just take a picture of his face, like with the flash on, and he'd be like, "What the fuck, man? Like, give me a second. Like, at least ask me. Don't just put your camera in my face." Like, I totally understand why they don't ever want to come home, because small towns like this, people will lose their collective minds and be so rude.
Yes.
Like, they're just human beings.
I know that people always do this whole like, well, celebrities are famous and they should expect it. And I'm like, they're still people.
Yeah.
Do you want me to shove my camera in your face and be like, I got your picture without asking? Like, consent's important, guys, in a lot of ways. Anyway, but we just
go way off topic.
Whoopsie. I mean, I'm gonna go back to I still digressing on Falcon and Winter Soldier. I really do think that it's intentional that we hate Captain America. I think that's so important for us as an audience. Like, I think Marvel was like, we need to hate the new Captain America. Steve Rogers can be the only one.
Yeah. At the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh, are they gonna try to make this guy a sympathetic character? And as the episode went on, I was like, nah, not so much. And then he laid that line about, oh, I need Cap's sidekicks with me, or whatever he said, and I was just like, I'm so glad that at that point Sam was like, nope, that's the wrong line to say.
And then he kept calling Bucky, and I was like, stop calling him Bucky. You did not
I don't
earn
know
that
what else
right.
he would call him, but like, you haven't earned the right to call him Bucky.
Thank you.
You call him
Amen.
Sir Bucky.
James.
I don't know.
Call him James, like his therapist does.
Yeah, James Buchanan. Wait, was that his name?
Yeah.
Bucky Buchanan. Yes.
Yeah. I only remember this important details about the hot actors. Like that, like, yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm doing it again. Do you follow either Anthony Mackie or Sebastian Stan on Instagram?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute about each other on Instagram.
Really?
Yes, it's
that
like
last episode was cracking me up when they were like locking knees and like staring at each other's eyes. Yeah. They are like, ever since Civil War, they have shown a really great chemistry together.
Yeah,
like in that car scene where like he was like not gonna move this car like the seat at all. And I was like, oh, I need to see more of this. And now they're giving us more of this. Yeah. Really happy.
Did you, like, I read somewhere that it was supposed to release first before WandaVision. And I'm really glad that it didn't, because I feel like it wouldn't have set up the right tone for like the next phase.
No, I agree.
Now that we're heading back to WandaVision, I really like that when we get to like when Monica goes back, gets shot back out of the West, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of get a glimpse of where she's coming from, and we see her rematerializing in the hospital. I feel like because of that scene, it makes sense for it to be what we see first, because we haven't seen rematerialization happen yet, right?
Oh yeah, that was a big deal. I'm really glad they showed that too, because we didn't get to see any of that in Endgame. Mm-hmm. And seeing the chaos and like the craziness, I thought that was really well done. And it brought up like a lot of points, like a lot of thought things in my head, like how people are rematerializing, what's happening to the people once they rematerialize, like what happened to their stuff that they left behind.
In Monica's case, when she's like, where's my mom? Oh, that broke my heart when the doctor was like, she died 3 years ago. It was like, who wants to be that person? You know, that happened a lot.
Yeah, I know they kind of touched on it in the latest Spider-Man movie, but they didn't really show it. And so I thought that was really, really cool. And sad and chaotic and scary, and like the disbelief and running into people. And
so has there been a lot of chatter about what phase 4 will look like? Because you're on Reddit a lot, right? Aren't you a Reddit person?
Oh yeah.
I rely on you to share about Reddit stuff.
Yes. So as far as I'm aware, like everything seems to be going along with the multiverse. Like we know that Spider-Man's going to deal with the multiverse, and Doctor Strange is going to deal with the multiverse. So we're just, I mean, with something like that, like you don't know what to expect, like at all. Like we know where we left off with Doctor Strange and we left off with Spider-Man. So what happens next is like, honestly, I have no idea.
There's a lot. Yeah. Also, I feel like we need to have a moment to appreciate Doctor Strange, because Benedict Cumberbatch, first of all, I can't handle his American accent, but I'll take it. He's got that dark, brooding, mysterious thing going on so well, and probably because he was Sherlock Holmes for so long.
I think that movie's coming out next year, but I don't know honestly what's the next movie that's coming out. Black Widow, but I don't think I think that's all set in the past. I don't think there's going to be anything new coming out with Black Widow, unless it's talking about like a future Black Widow, like a different person being on that mantle. Who knows? Although with Florence Pugh in the movie, who knows if she's going to take on the mantle of Black Widow, or if she's going to just continue her sister's work. Right.
I didn't think I'd be excited for Loki, but I am.
Wait, why wouldn't you be excited for Loki?
I don't know. I know. He just he's like, tell me.
My sister and I love him. Love.
Oh like, my god, love him as an actor, or love the character Loki? Okay.
But the only thing I'm really sad about is that this is Loki from after the first Avengers, and he lost all that amazing character development that he got in Thor 2 and Thor 3. Yeah. Like he was a great character. And then his ending in Infinity War, like broke my heart. Yeah. And so the fact that we're getting Loki from like Avengers, the first Avengers movie, is kind of weird, and I'm excited to see what happens, but the trailers have me really excited. So
I saw one the other day and I was like, all right, June or July. I was like, all right, summer, let's do this.
Like, this will like 2021 has something with Marvel coming out like every weekend.
Yeah, our movie theaters need to hurry up because I don't want to watch Black Widow on, I don't want to watch that on a tiny screen. I want to watch it on the big screen. Actually, talking about things that Disney should do, I would probably, if they were like, hey, we're gonna do a marathon of WandaVision on a large screen, I would totally do it.
That'd be fun. You can rent out a theater and play it on your Disney Plus.
What?
Yeah.
The relationship between Natasha and Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
I forget his name in the movie. He was so supportive of her and vice versa. Like they just had such a great friendship that I feel like that defies that stereotype of men and women can't be friends.
She had a great friendship with Chris Evans too. As Captain America. I had them together in why can't I think of it? The second Captain America movie.
Was it Winter Soldier?
Yeah, Winter Soldier. Sorry, I couldn't think of it for some reason. Okay. I'm like, my husband's screensaver is right in front of me, and it's a Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I didn't even think of it. But yeah, they did. I thought they did a good job of having friendships between men and women in the movie, and then like how Hawkeye took on Wanda as like a daughter character.
Yeah,
who, like looked out for her after Sokovia. I thought that was really sweet.
I agree. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity in movies and TV and just pop culture in general to create those sort of relationships that are contentious. And so then we never really see anything represented that's positive. And that's one of the things I love about the Marvel Universe so much, is that you do have that strong sort of support. I mean, Tony Stark's going to do whatever the hell Tony Stark wants to do, but everybody else is like, but usually when a team that you work with says we're a family, that's a red flag to me. Like, oh, this is going to be emotionally abusive. But in the sense of like the Avengers, they really are like, we've got your back, we're here for you, we're going to support you. And just the way and I know this has nothing to do with WandaVision, but like when Mark Ruffalo's character is like, where's Natasha? And
yeah,
this poor man, this woman just loved him. I feel like they didn't get enough opportunities to be in love.
Not at all. Or the opportunities that they did have, he didn't take.
Yeah.
And then he decided to post blip spend time in a radioactive chamber rather than, she was there.
Yeah.
He could have done something.
Yeah.
Men are dumb.
They really can be. Damn it. It's so frustrating. Do you think there'll be a season 2 of WandaVision, or do you think that's it?
I think that's it for the show. I think the show did what it set out to do and finished that and said what it needed to say. And the storylines are going to continue on in movies. I don't think that WandaVision as we know it's going to come back. Because even like Vision's not there anymore. At least that Vision. So yeah, just do it all over again.
I just don't know if I want to live without that Vision.
I know. A memory made real.
Right.
They're the best lines.
They really do. Oh my God. The comic book world doesn't get enough credit for being so thoughtful and thought-provoking and heartwarming and all these things that we equate to good acting. I love it when they post like behind the scenes shit that they're not supposed to post, pictures on Twitter and whatnot. And it's like, they're literally standing in front of a green screen, getting ready to shoot a fight scene. And that's hard because you're literally acting because you don't see what's coming at you. They're putting it in after. Like, give these fools some credit. Stop talking about how these movies aren't real movies. Like, that bothers me.
That bothers me too, because I mean, the people that say that obviously aren't watching these movies, or they're equating them to, let's admit, the much inferior DC movies.
Yeah.
The DC movies are great at telling the mythology of these heroes and stuff like that and action scenes, but they don't get the humor and the heart and the love that you get from a Marvel movie.
Yes.
Like after seeing Infinity War in theaters, I didn't know what to expect because I wasn't like I said, I'm not a comic book reader. My husband is, so he kind of had an idea what was going to go on. Like, I cried so hard at the end of Infinity War, especially when Spider-Man looked away.
Yes.
Like, that hit me the hardest, I think. And I think it happened with a lot of people because maybe he's just so young.
Yeah.
And he was like not wanting to go, like, no, Mr. Stark, I'm sorry. And I'm just like,
I know.
but and then watching Endgame and still not knowing what to expect,
Mm-hmm.
I like was shell shocked at the end of it. Like for 5 minutes afterwards, like throughout the credits and everything, I was just like
Yeah.
I couldn't move. And I
Yeah.
felt like I was just like stuck in my brain and I couldn't
Yeah.
think of anything. I cried so hard in that movie.
I think that's something that I miss about the movie theater, because even though it's a solo experience, it's a collective experience at the same time, because
Yes.
there's a scene, I think it might be in Infinity War, where like Captain America and the Black Panther show up at the same time. It maybe it's Endgame, I don't know. And no, because it was before the blip. So the entire theater just roared with excitement that these two massively attractive but also like super amazing heroes showed up. Like the whole room was,
is it Endgame or Infinity War when they're running with the crowd and they're like the two leading
I think,
at the
I
front
don't
because they're like the
remember
best runners?
fully, because I don't remember. I just remember they showed up on scene at the same time, or on screen at the same time, and like the theater just lost their shit. But it was just so great because everybody in the room, so we all in the same room were so excited and happy to see these characters show up because they were desperately needed, and it was a collective positive emotion. And you know, we too go to a lot of the comic book movies, even in DC, and that same sort of reaction doesn't ever has never I've never let me say it this way, I've never had that experience in a DC movie. Mm-hmm. Where people in the
I would
audience
argue
are
that
like,
maybe in the first Wonder Woman movie,
oh, that's a good
there
point.
were a couple of points, and I did actually cry in Wonder Woman, and I didn't expect to at all. Like when she ran across the battlefield, I did get choked up, but I don't feel like everybody in the audience, maybe mostly because it was mostly men, like maybe they didn't get that. Right. It was more like titillation for them rather than like this empowering girl moment. But like in Endgame, when Cap threw Molnar, everybody freaked the fuck out. Yes. Or when he said the magic words, Avengers Assemble.
Yes.
Like you can't replicate that feeling that you got in the theater when everybody lost their goddamn minds. Yes. Everyone in the theater like was screaming. And that experience was like amazing. And it's something like you can't get sitting at home on your couch watching it, screaming with your husband.
Yeah, poor husband.
And your kid's like, what's happening right now?
Like, it's fine. I'm crying. It's fine. I definitely missed that. We watched the Zack Snyder's Justice League yesterday.
Nathan watched it the other day. It was fine.
Fine.
I don't understand some of the parts that they added and like why he added it when they're not gonna get like a sequel with Jared Leto. Like why? So I just feel like they were trying so hard to like catch up to Marvel and like throw all of their heroes together, but they didn't have a thought out plan the way that Marvel did with Kevin Feige. I feel like Kevin Feige like mapped out the next 30 years with like purpose and like knows exactly what he wants to do. And they just didn't do that with DC, which, you know, it is what it is. But
there were points during the movie last night where I was like, I've been on my phone the whole time because I lost interest at this part. So I see that nothing has changed and we're still in the same scene. Yeah. And Jay would be like, yeah, it hasn't moved much.
But if somebody like 15 years ago told me I would be crying about Iron Man's voice in his helmet dying, I would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
And the way that they were able to like make these characters come to life is just amazing.
It really is. And when Iron Man first came out, I was like, oh, that's cool, that's fun, you know. Okay, my dad and my brother were super excited about it, and then here we are however many years later, and I'm just like, yeah, of course I'm gonna watch the next installment of the Marvel universe. Duh. Yeah. It's so amazing how the minds of people can create something that collectively we all can experience similar emotions and then also have our own experiences in as well. I think that's the marker of really good art. And I think that's why it bothers me when people discredit the comic world in the sense of movies.
Oh yeah. Also, they're just fun.
They are.
Who doesn't need fun? Like, honestly, when I talk to somebody that isn't into it at all and doesn't understand the appeal of them, they just look at me like I'm crazy, but I'm also looking at them like they're crazy. Like, why don't you give this a chance?
Why don't you have a soul? Where's your soul? You should be sad. Like when Steve Rogers finally gets like his finish and he gets to like go back and like live his whole life in like 30 seconds. Okay, Steve, you're sweet. That's adorable. Like all you wanted was to dance with Peggy and then you got it. And that's just the sweetest, cutest little thing.
I know. I loved it. I really hope that we see more of Agatha.
Yes.
In the future. We know that Wanda left her in Westview. So hopefully we will see her in Doctor Strange because she's just too good to not bring back at all.
I agree. Do you really believe though that she was able to like put that on her so she was the nosy neighbor in the because the whole time in the show she can't control her mind.
So she did it to her after she had cast the runes and absorbed all of Agatha's powers as well as her power back. So I do think that whatever she did is gonna stick, but who knows how long it's gonna stick for.
Yeah.
Like if Agatha's able to break out of it. But I did see that at the end that Wanda absorbed some of her purple power. So who knows? Who knows what she left in there?
Interesting.
I know. But also I just want more Catherine Hahn in my life. So
yes. I always felt like she didn't get enough play in The Holiday. Do you remember her in The Holiday with Cameron
She
Diaz?
was like Cameron Diaz's assistant or something, right? Yeah. Her and John Krasinski, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I love that movie.
It's so cute.
Another person I really wish I had more of was the Dottie character, Emma Caulfield's character. I just love Emma Caulfield because of Buffy, obviously.
Yeah.
She played Anya. So I was really, when I saw her on there, I was like, ooh, she's gonna be good. And then the second episode where she was like the bitchy neighbor, I was like, oh, she's gonna have like a bigger role. There were a lot of rumors swirling around her that she was gonna have a bigger part too, and it was kind of disappointing that she didn't, but I was just happy to see her in anything. When
she like the point where she drops off and then they bring her back again later when she's like, please let my daughter out of the room, like I want to hug my daughter. I was like how would I respond? Like I'm so crazy about my child, and I shouldn't use that word. I'm so committed to being a mother. Like I have to hug you before I leave the house. Before you walk the dog, I'm going to kiss your face. Like these are things that whatever girlfriend he gets is going to be like, your mom's a little off. That I can't imagine being like in a position, especially when it's a minor child. Like I have to accept that he's going to grow up and have his own life, and that's just going to be what it is. But while he's living in my home, I can't imagine not being able to like hold him and hug him and kiss him and sit on the sit on the couch and watch TV together, or just like those small little interactions that you do with your children when they're home with you. The idea of like the concept with Wanda Vision and how she's like controlling everybody and the kids are all gone and we don't see them until Halloween.
Oh yeah.
That's heartbreaking when you really get to the root of like parenting. Like that's devastating and adds to the trauma.
It does. And it's funny because you don't really even think about it until they mention like, oh, where have you been hiding all these kids? Like, oh wait, yeah, she's been hiding all the kids. Like, where have they all been? And you kind of it calls back to the second episode when they do the talent show for the children. And you're like, oh, they were trying to get her to like take everything down so they could save their children because it was for the children.
There was a lot of little bits like that in the show. Like there was the for the children part, and then in episode 1 when Mr. Hart's choking and Mrs. Hart's just like, stop it, and then she gets really ominous with her stop it, and you're just like, that got creepy. Like what don't we know yet?
Yes, I know. They did a great job with all the callbacks, especially with like the commercials and stuff, that where the commercials you're like, what is happening? And then by the end you're like, oh yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah, there's even one point in episode 2 where Agnes says, look, it's the star of the show, and she's talking to Wanda, but then she picks up the bunny, and then as you get later on you're like, oh okay, Agnes, we should have known that you knew the whole time. Based on that statement, like I feel dumb that I didn't figure that out.
They didn't want you to figure it out, that's why.
Yeah, they really did a good job.
Did you have a favorite commercial?
The paper towel one. And then also the snacks, with the shark that hops up on the island.
Oh, the Yo Magic one?
Yeah, because I was like, oh my God, clearly the person who came up with this commercial grew up in the 90s, because that shit's hella accurate.
Yes. And the ending, you're just like, what is happening? Why is this kid dying?
Yeah.
And then you find out it's because of Yo Magic.
Yeah. Yep. Which is crazy, right? Like, put it together. And then I love that Kat Dennings' character got really into the show. And then she's like, I'm so happy. She was
fangirling all along with us, all of us.
I thought that was great. It's like, yeah, I'd be that person at work. I do want more Monica Rambeau, though. I think you're right. I think she is going to be in the second Captain
Marvel.
Danvers. can't all function.
Captain Marvel, yes.
That's it. Captain Marvel. I'm a fan, I swear.
I'm excited to see their interaction and find out like why. Because there was 2 instances where Carol's name was mentioned to Monica, and both times Monica was just like, moving on.
We're gonna sidestep that real quick.
Yeah. Was there anything that wasn't answered that you wanted answered in the show?
Yeah.
I think I had a couple of things.
Tell me.
Well, first of all, okay, we didn't even talk about this, but the whole Pietro thing.
Yeah, that was
like, why? Why?
I mean, I understand it's Agnes's attempt to try and like break Wanda.
Well, my whole thing was, okay, so it was going to be, you're supposed to think that it's the real Pietro or Peter. And then you find out that it's not the real Peter. But then why even cast Evan Peters in that role? Like, it could have been anybody else, but they were like, no, we're going to use the old Quicksilver from this universe and bring him into this universe, but it's not going to be the same guy. And I'm just like, who thought that would make sense, or that was going to be a good idea? Like, it didn't make any sense to me, and it made me furious. I was so angry. And also at the same time, I'm like, that Quicksilver, Evan Peters, in his movies, the X-Men movies, they were all set in the 80s and 90s. So he wouldn't even be that old. I don't know. It was just really confusing. But he did show up in the 90s episode, so I guess that would be how they explain that.
That makes, yeah.
But I just didn't like it. And then they just turned the whole thing into a dick joke.
Right.
Like, why?
What? Yeah, why? Why does it always end up having to be a dick joke? I don't understand that.
The same people that wrote such beautiful lines for Vision just turned it into a dick joke.
They're just trying to break that emotional wall on you, so that way you don't have to walk around with all this emotion right here.
I love Vision so much. I think he was such a great hero. And even when that scene where he broke through the barrier, the hex on Halloween episode, and was trying to get out. He wasn't even help me or save me. He said the people need help. And you're just like, don't take him away again.
Right.
Wanda's already been through so much.
Right. I mean, she lost him twice, and then to lose him a third time, that's traumatizing.
So the whole thing before everything started was that it was supposed to be maybe Mephisto pulling all the strings or whatever. But it really, after the fact, you really realized it was a textbook definitions of the stages of grief.
Oh yeah.
Denial, the acceptance, the anger, every episode hit all of the things that really, and the last one's acceptance. And that's why she wasn't a mess when everybody went away. Yeah,
that's a good point. You're right though. Vision really is a good hero, and he's so selfless, and he's just got this big old heart that's we have to be better. That's what Vision makes me feel, we have to be better because he's so good. We don't deserve him.
We don't deserve him. We don't deserve America.
I sure can't appreciate the way Captain America looks though. Sorry.
It's funny because I like Chris Evans as an actor. Now I didn't then, because I was like, what the hell,
yeah, because he kind of played he had some questionable movies there for a minute. He did one with Jessica Biel that was not good. Sorry, go ahead.
One with Jessica Biel?
It's called London or something like that. I was I didn't even finish it.
I realized I only like Chris Evans as Captain America. It's maybe the uniform. I don't know.
Hey, it works for him though. But Gifted's really good. He did a movie called and it's really sweet because he's playing this uncle. He plays an uncle who's taking care of his niece, who's wicked smart, and her mom is no longer
played by baby Carol Danvers, right? Wasn't the little girl who played Carol Danvers?
I think you're right. Sean.
I'm IMDb up here.
But anyway, Gifted's a good movie. He really does a good job advocate in that movie. I really feel I feel like we could talk for hours and hours and hours down the rabbit hole of movies.
Probably could, honestly.
Well, that's our show for y'all. Tune in next time as we talk about our favorite TV moms just in time for Mother's Day.